Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Man, oh wow. Okay. I'm just getting started here. I sit down and everything looks really quiet, and then a big flurry of orders just went off. That's, whoa, okay, what's going on here? Let's pull up everything. Tweet deck. Oh my gosh. I opened up the window and it started the video. Let's fix all this nonsense. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Trump says U.S. is doing well with China. China would like to make a trade deal with the United States. The American president says today we will send information to the Senate to carry out ratification of the USMCA. We are certain that the agreement will be approved in the Senate. Okay, cool. So that could be a sell for us. Baba Baba. Baba Baba. Good morning. See you there. Yes, need to refresh this. Oh dear, hold on a second. There we go. Everything's just all nutty today. You think I go down my checklist, I think I have everything under control. And then it starts doing weird things. Won't let me into the dashboard here. There we go. There we go. All right, so anyways. Okay, so Trump saying some stuff. Saw a couple of contracts dump. We're actually moving up a little bit. It seems like that the president is out to talk up the markets. I wonder if all of the guys are going to be out on the CNBC again today. We'll see. Oh, they're buying it. I don't know if I want to buy it off of what he just said, to be honest. I think they're going the wrong way. We have news at 6:30, so I don't want to take a trade before 6:30. So in the meantime, let's look at the charts. Well, yesterday we had a very, very interesting day. Very interesting day indeed. Let's look at it in the 30-minute chart here. Okay. We were getting pretty strong move up here. And then I actually caught a short somewhere around here, surprisingly enough. But then we went even higher. And then the auction results came out, and there was not nearly as much demand as they thought, and the yield came in much higher than the market was pricing in, and so we moved down, and we actually closed the day like one tick lower in the 10-year. So that whole sequence of events was really, really interesting. Overnight here in the Treasuries, pretty even. Now, when you look at the E-mini, you can see things were looking pretty dire, but they did recover just teeny tiny little bit off of that auction as well. Going into the close, we're mostly at yesterday's levels though, so the Treasuries came down quite a bit, and the E-mini not quite as much. So the whole thing is kind of a weird setup. We may be turning around here. We may be going into a pullback or a down move in Treasuries, perhaps over the next week. I do feel that prices are a little bit too high. Market seems spooked. Okay, Donald Trump just came out and said something nice and good. And what do you know? We're higher. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that one. So that whole thing is super interesting. Oh man. Come on, over here. Why would you open up over there? Good grief. That was a Trump tweet. What wasn't it? Was it a Trump tweet? It wasn't a tweet, but a comment. They're going the wrong way, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. Should we buy now? No, I don't think you should. I don't know. I mean, the market obviously does not agree with me. They are up. When that happens, I don't think you fade it. Because if you're wrong, you're wrong. And who knows how long it will be until the market comes around to your side. It may be never. So you don't fade it. You wait for them to finish. You wait for them to finish, and then maybe you fade it. And we got this news coming out, right? So that whole thing. The other thing is that it could be that somebody was short and is just dumping their position off of that, and it is they're not. Oops, I've yanked this cord out too many times, and I think it's already going. Should we sim buy? I mean, you could. Oh man, I don't know. It looks like they want to buy it there. That's a pretty decent absorption at 24, isn't it? Right there at a new high. 24. Are they going to trade 24 half? My oh my. I felt like I kind of lost a bit of the momentum there. It was like we started going and it's like, hey, things are crazy. Whoa. And then, couldn't log into my dashboard and Discord wasn't up. And oh man, I don't know. That's a tough call. You could potentially sell it there. I'm tempted to, but I don't think I want to take a trade before 6:30. So let's just sit back. Well, today, Thursday, we have a ton of numbers too. Man. So we have preliminary GDP quarter over quarter looking for a reading of 3.1. I would be really surprised given that everybody was turning their GDP estimates down. I'll be very surprised that it comes in at 3.1. Good Straits balance 72, negative 72 billion. GDP price index, we're looking for spot 9. Wholesale inventories spot 2. Unemployment claims 216. I would keep an eye on that price index quarter over quarter. So if that is any different, the previous was spot 9. Let's see here. August of 2018, it was actually 3. Spot 9 would be pretty low. So if that price index comes out and it is lower, it underperforms, it's less than spot 9%, you're probably going to see another move up in Treasuries, because that would be a very, very disappointing number. If it was below 7, then it would really be like, ooh. Conversely, if it's higher than spot 9, you probably could see some selling. And the issue here is that the market is so high and so it's had so much buy momentum that I don't know if having a number higher than spot 9 is really all that great, but the market is just kind of like ready to sell, I think. Well, I think that something else I can do here is, so here's the ZN. I can see there is clearly more volume on the September contract, but there are some significant differences. So there's a big bid below us in the June. That to me is perhaps an indication that we want to be careful about any trades that we take today. because you're going to have funky business going on that I think is beyond my ability to understand how they're rolling over. It could be that he is looking to, he is short, and so he wants to exit his short in June and enter his short in August. And he wants to do it at 135 in June and 27 in August. Reasonably matching numbers there. But I don't know. And I don't have the other ones up. I'm going to switch these other ones over. I'm going to switch them over. Actually, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to put the camera up for a second because I just want to make sure that we don't show you anything that we don't actually need to show you. Okay. So there's that one. And this one. September. And I'm going to switch all of these ones to ZF. ZF. ZN. ZN. ZB. And ZB. And then can I switch over? Well, I can't do it over here in Jigsaw really yet, can I? Database management. Oh no, actually it says that I can roll them. It does want me to roll them over, so I will roll them over. So tomorrow's first call. So I wouldn't recommend trading the old contract today. Okay, so whoa. My oh my, here comes the news. Quarter GDP is 3.1 versus 3. So GDP was good. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm just going to clear things. I don't normally do that, but goods trades balance negative 72.1 versus 72.7, so pretty close to the estimate. Price index spot 8 versus spot 9. And so we are moving up. That is in line with what we were looking for. Where's unemployment claims? I haven't gotten that number yet. Well, they are moving up, but not a ton. I'm going to clear this one too. Come on, okay. Unemployment claims 215,000 versus an expected 216,000. Wholesale inventories spot 7 versus spot 2, which is much higher than expected. What exactly, how is that number? Change in the total value of goods held in inventory by wholesalers. Okay, so to see it at spot 7 is not necessarily a good thing, then, is it? Released monthly, 30 days after the month ends. Preliminary and final. It is a sign of future business spending because companies are more likely to purchase goods once they have depleted inventories. Okay. So if that means that they've bought more things, that means that they expect to have more activity in the future, or is that because they didn't get as much as they wanted? And I'm still not quite sure on that one. CNN says gave you 1 like. Thank you very much. Well, I don't know, guys. I wanted to see, I expected maybe that news could cause a move. I guess it moved a little bit, but it's unclear to me which way it's going. The liquidity is back. It's not amazing. There's actually only 3,000s being stacked here on the inside bids, like 24 half, 24. Hmm. All this right here. And these right here, they're under 4. And when I look at this one, it's definitely light. The 3s. That is not really very good action usually. There's my rollover happened. Okay, cool. GDP 3.1 in line with expectations. Maybe it's fake news. Could be. It's curious action. Curious action, folks. Good morning, Uzi. Oh, so did you guys see on Reddit this morning? I woke up and I'm looking at Reddit, and I'm pretty close to the top on Reddit. There is a story about a bunch of kids. I think I've heard this story before. A bunch of kids claim that an alien came and visited them in their schoolyard, and the alien told them to take care of the atmosphere because it'll be gone, is what the alien said. Yes. And several years later, the kids are sticking with it. They think they were visited by an alien. Isn't that interesting? Oh, let's bring back the charts, shall we? There we go. So I probably, when I was highlighting stuff, you couldn't even see it. So here, we're a little light. We're seeing 4,000s now. Not here at 26 half, which is curious. And then in the June contract, it's just not even a thing, although there is a big bid there at 13 and a half still, and we're quite above it now. Okay. Relatively significant downtick. So my issue is I tend to not do as well closer to rollover, and I tend not to do as well towards the end of the month. But I also know that we tend to move up at the end of the month, and it looks like that news did favor a move up. Furthermore, I am getting some indications that it's stopping here. So I think that right now, yeah, Lucas asks, so liquidity is better in September now. It appears so. Tomorrow is the last call. Or sorry, tomorrow is first call. So everybody is going to be rolled over by tomorrow. But most of the scalpers, I think, move over before that. They follow the liquidity. And today, the liquidity has definitely moved over to September. So I would trade September. But rollover week can be really confusing sometimes. Like there's so much going on with positions and stuff that it's hard to it's hard for me to know what's going on. And so I think in those instances, you might be better staying out. And since I'm not seeing like a ton of size on the DOM yet, I mean, if like 24 had like 4,500 on it, then maybe it would be a little different. But it is getting better. It's better than it was. Lucas says they're trading more in the June contract though. I can't tell that. I don't have something up that would show me the volume difference between them. What is the name of the orders add, remove, add indicator that you use? Oh, okay. So you're asking about these ones up here. Okay. So this main one is the Vista chart from Jigsaw. These are all Jigsaw things. And then if you look up here, you see these these little buttons right here on the Vista chart. When you click on these, then these other indicators below will show up. Okay. So this one, the white, is cumulative delta. That's this little thing right here, I think. This one right here is overall market depth. So you can see if I were to come back out here, I think it doesn't include all of them, but you can see, oh, there's actually more offers than there are bids when you account for everything. But when you account for the first 10 levels is what I think I have it set at, you will see that there's more bids than there are offers. And so that's why that's blue. That's the overall market depth. And this one is the stacking and pulling. This one right here. And I think that that's the one that you're asking about, right? Let me clear that out. Okay. So the way that that one works is if I come over here into Jigsaw, I'm going to mess around with things for a second. Here in my DOM, there's something called the snapshot columns. Okay. So the bid and ask snapshot columns say, since we've ticked, how has the liquidity at each price changed? You're not seeing them over here because nothing has changed there. But if people added or removed contracts up here, you would see it. You would see a change here. Okay. So they're saying that 2,000 contracts pulled off 24.5 and 1,700 contracts added at 25, which is an indication that we're going to tick down. Okay. Could be an indication that we're going to tick down. Okay, sure enough, we tick down. 2,000 pull at 24, 2,000 stack at 24.5. And we tick down again. But it's fighting. Okay, so now can you see here how my little indicator is a little bit red now? Because the combination of the stacking and pulling was bearish. And that's how that works. Okay. 17K at 2 priced in September and 25K traded at 2 prices in June. Gotcha. Yeah, I think that I am in an area where I don't really have a very good edge at the moment. If we get some news, we get some sort of a real trend going, then we might have something. But the market did not really take a big move off of that news. And so Bitcoin 25K by end of year proved me wrong. So here's the thing, Dutch Maxed. Have you ever heard, that the burden of proof lies on the affirmer, not the denier? So my question to you is, how do you get 25K? What evidence backed up by a historical edge do you have that Bitcoin is going to be $25,000 by the end of the year? Seth, amazing answer. And what is the bottom indicator? Well, thank you. I'm glad that helped. The bottom one is volume. The bottom one is just straight volume, but it's split out. So the blue is how much of the volume was buying, and the red is how much of the volume was selling. And it kind of stacks them on top of each other. So the selling is always the bottom one. it'll get hype again after some upcoming things. It could. So I'm still of the opinion, and let's pull up our Bitcoin chart while we're here, because I'm not going to take a trade here, so I might as well yap about this. There's our Bitcoin chart. So I can see here when I'm looking at the futures. Let's zoom it out here. Something really sticks out to me in the futures. Do you see what I'm noticing here that is odd in the futures? Granted, you know what? Actually, we should change this. We should change this because it's 06. Let's just change it to BTC 0719. Can I not do that? Maybe I do it this way. Okay, let's just reload it. Okay. Okay, so now we're on. Now that I have it going to. Oh no, wait. Actually, it should have been 06, shouldn't it? Okay. Never mind. Okay. So now that I have the right one, what is weird to me? There is a divergence. Bitcoin price, if we start from here, where the big buy was at 6,500, okay? Bitcoin price has been up, up, up. And what is cumulative delta doing? Down. It's not coming back. They're not buying it. The futures traders are not buying it. Well, they really slowed down there. See where I'm saying, like, I don't really have an edge in this action? The roll makes it hard for me to know what's going on. Stacking and pulling, though, I guess, did tell you that we were going to move down. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Anyways, so it's concerning to me that the futures aren't buying it. It's very concerning to me. And when I actually look at the blockchain and the exchanges to try and figure out where is this stuff coming from, and I see Prince and Tether and people buying things with Tether. So after all of this hoopla with Tether, think about this for a second, guys. You're a big investor. You have $10 million to invest in cryptocurrencies. How do you do it? I know what we should do. We should go and talk to that company that is being investigated by the feds and is taken into court for fraud. That's how we should do it. We should go and talk to them, and we should buy their Tether and then use that to enter the market. Are you fucking kidding me, guys? You think that anybody with that much money is that stupid? I mean, you know what? Maybe they are. There are some dumb people out there. There are some dumb rich people out there. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But I mean, but really, think about how crazy that is. Oh yeah, I have $30 million. Let's just put it all into Tether. And yet, this week, they printed several $1,000,000 in Tether. And they went out and they bought it. And I have to ask you, do you think that Tether was new big players jumping into the market? Or do you think that Tether is just committing more fraud? What do you think is more likely? I'm not so sure. Well, one thing I will tell you, if Tether is printing more, then there's probably a pretty good chance that we could move up again. Maybe to 10,000. We'll see what it does. But I would not be caught dead in this thing. Now, maybe there's some more news that will come out and it will increase usage in Bitcoin and eventually usage will catch up to the price. But right now, that is not what is happening. They are pumping it. They are pumping the price. No question about it. I'm wondering, do they usually fill the gaps created between June and September? The later one trades higher. Lucas, yes, they do. They're actually, very much they do. How can I show that to you? If I show you this chart, this is complicated, okay? Tether is fraud. Well, Dutch maxed. What we found out from the court documents that we've received so far was that at one point, Tether gave a payment processor several $1 million, and the payment processor just ran off with it. And they had the Tether printed anyways, and that Tether was never backed by dollars. So we know that at least at one point in the past year, that not all Tether was backed by dollars. Another thing I would point out to you that you can go out and confirm. It would take me a little bit to go and search for this, but if you look up Bitfinex on Twitter, he usually posts all this stuff. Nobody has redeemed Tether this month. They haven't. There hasn't been a reduction in Tether, like a print where they take Tether out. Hasn't happened. They're not redeeming Tether. Don't you think that's a little bit? Oh, my company is being investigated for fraud. Maybe I should try and pull my money out. Let's go. Take the Tether back to the company and see if I can get my money back. Nobody's tried it. If everybody went and tried to redeem their Tether, would Tether be able to pay them all? I don't think that they would. I can't prove that. Let's be clear. I can't prove that. I don't want to say something that I can't prove, but I suspect that they wouldn't be able to do it. So basically, cryptocurrency is screwed. Well, I think that if the feds came along and pulled the plug on Bitfinex, that yes, cryptocurrency would be screwed. But the issue remains that they keep fucking buying it. So what are you gonna do? The only thing I can do is take profits and get out and watch it and say, you know what? I wouldn't be buying it. You guys keep buying it. I wouldn't be buying it. And you can't really make money off of that, can you? It'll be like before. For months, I was like, they're not going to hold this 6,000. They don't have the blockchain support to do it. They're going to have to fail it. Now it took that whole war with BCH and Bitcoin SV and all that nonsense to finally make it happen, but they did fall. And we argued with many people. We were coming in there for a good 6 months or so, saying that eventually this is going to fall through. And I ended up being right. And what do I get for it? Nothing. Hardly anybody even remembers. I was in Ethereum and dropped all the way to 110, and it's currently just over 280. Wow. Should I sell? I mean, you don't have a definitive answer, obviously, but would it be smart? Yeah, well, so I'm not an investment advisor, and I cannot make a strategy for you, but I can tell you my strategy. And my strategy is that I have an indicator, which I post on Patreon every day. You can look in the comments, in the video description, there's a link to the Patreon. I post the charts every day, and the charts are available to subscribers for $5 a month. And after a week, the charts become public. So you can go down there today and you can look and see what the indicator was showing you last week. And when we get above 150 is when I tend to sell. We are now over 200. So we have really bought significantly this time. But when my valuation model oscillator thing gets over 150, I say you sell. So if I had been long during this run, and the thing is I would have loved to have been long, but my indicator we didn't get low enough for my indicator to say it was safe to buy. So I didn't do it, even though I kind of saw that maybe price was turning around. Said don't buy. But if I had been able to catch that one, I would be out now. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter which cryptocurrency, because if Bitcoin falls, they're all going to fall, right? Unfortunately. Which is unfortunate because some of these other coins do not, deserve to be pushed down by the way that Bitcoin is trading. But what are you going to do? Anyways, well, it was interesting the way that the volume came back down there in the treasuries, but it's gotten awfully quiet at 23. I wonder if they're going to have another push up, and we might start to get dominated by the E-mini here again. Oh. Hard for me to tell where the session break is on this chart because it usually is a significant change overnight, and this time it wasn't. Trading hours, break line, dotted line, and gray. There we go. Okay, now I can see up a little bit. Yeah, I bought Ethereum for 109 per February, put a decent amount in, so I'm seeing a nice profit already with it being back to 28, but I'm skeptical about a turnaround. Okay, so you made almost 3 times your money, right? So here's another thing that I would recommend in cryptocurrencies is that if you've made double your money, take part of it out. You know, like you could take out $109 of it, and that way you don't lose your initial investment at least, and then you let the rest of it run. That's kind of the way that I would do it now, but after that dreaded bear market, I'm not sure if it's still a bear market or not. Yeah. Well, and that's where I'm saying my indicator seems to say that the bear is not over. My indicator seems to say that we never got back to the fair price that we would need for a true bottom. Basically, these guys are coming in and pumping it. They don't actually know what it's worth. And so these greedy bastards are basically harming the overall development of the coin by pumping it up in this particular time because they didn't get low enough. And there's not going to be enough room. They don't have, you pump it up, but they're pumping it up beyond the usage that the chain can handle. Lucas has the link to the pace of the roll. So can we see here that it's almost all rolled over? Have to open it up in Chrome. Brave doesn't like it for some reason. Current roll. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and that's the 10-year. So it's saying that we're actually having a little bit slower of a roll than normal, right? Because it's still above the line. We're having a slower than normal roll. Interesting. But I mean, first notice is the 31st, right? That's when you've got to be switched over. But we are mostly rolled over, so I would trade September. Maybe still keep the other one up to see if there's anything interesting. But okay, yeah, and I minimize that. Man, the market went. Given that we had such a crazy move down, and it was a pretty decent move down in volume. About 4,000 in cumulative delta down. Yeah, 84% rolled. About 4,000 in cumulative delta down. And then it's just completely dead. That's really weird. There was a big order down here. What was it? There was a big order at 21.5. Oh, wait a second. This is the wrong one. So this was a DOM that I added. So I'm going to remove this one. Yeah, I'm going to remove this one. Move this one back. And switch that one. Cool. All right, now I can see that makes a little bit more sense. Although there was that liquidity down there that caught us in the June contract. And so that move must have been related, related to spreads between contracts. So again, here, there's stuff that you could certainly see in the roll. And if you were really good at watching multiple months at the same time, you might have been able to see something in it. But that's not really my expertise. And so it's better for me to stay out. We do have some more news today, don't we? 8 o'clock. Pending home sales. Looking for a reading of spot 9, which is pretty low. Pretty low. Let's just double check some few things here. Cool. I don't know, guys. It's tough trade. This is going to be a tough day. Trump slams conflicted Mueller, confirms Russia didn't help him get elected. Mexico president says he's optimistic when asked about the USMCA approval process in the United States. Zek pumped right on time. Good morning. Yeah. I think they, well, I don't really follow that chart per se. It's kind of interesting that Bitcoin saw that support at 8,500. I guess that's another thing that we should say. I guess Shalom missed the whole Bitcoin rant this morning. But I was saying Tether printed some more, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another move up. But I'm really concerned that the futures aren't buying. The futures are still down. That's a problem, I think. Anyways, Russia. So let's talk about the Russia thing, because I think that the media has been suckered here. Here's why. There was absolutely nothing that Mueller said in his press conference yesterday that was not in the report. Like this whole thing about we can't offer an opinion on whether we thought that Donald Trump committed obstruction of justice because we cannot indict him, and therefore it is wrong to make such an accusation when they cannot counter the accusation. That's in the original report. So people coming out and saying, now that Mueller has spoken, this is a reason for us to go forward with impeachment. Nope. Absolutely nothing has changed. There was one thing that changed yesterday. And that was Mueller said this thing: if we had confidence that he hadn't committed a crime, we would have said so. Remember, did you hear that comment? I tell you what, that is like one of the most convoluted sentences I've ever heard. If we thought that he had not committed a crime, we would have said so. Why would you say that? I tell you what, you know who speaks like that? Politicians talk like that. That is a politician. That is the words of a politician, friends. And so now Mueller has basically given Republicans an excuse to say, you know what? He really did have a horse in this race, and he was out to get the president, and he couldn't do it. So I actually think that the odds of Donald Trump being impeached have gone from like 1% before to like 0.1% now. Yeah. The Department of Justice cannot, by law, charge a sitting president. They can only pass it down. Yes. That's what I said, right? Well, it wasn't just that. It's the Department of Justice's opinion that it is not constitutional or lawful to indict a president. That if a president is going to be investigated, that he has to be indicted by Congress. And therefore, they should not offer an opinion on whether Donald Trump committed obstruction of justice or not. In order for that to happen, Congress has to come out and say that Donald Trump committed obstruction of justice. Right? Now, that one's kind of a weird thing, right? Because impeachment is a political process. Honestly, you could have a president did absolutely nothing wrong, but if he's unpopular enough with the public and Congress is stacked against him and they go for it and they could convict him of anything that they wanted. They could convict him of gross stupidity and they could impeach him over that because it's a vote, right? Obviously, the chances of you actually getting the votes to do that impeachment are pretty low unless you have like a real legitimate crime there. But Congress could impeach him for any reason that they wanted, right? So let's change the situation. Let's say that instead of Congress, let's say that Donald Trump is put on trial in front of a grand jury, okay, which is a jury filled by like judges, people that know the law, okay, and then you go in and they do that trial, okay. Did Donald Trump commit obstruction of justice? Would you be able to convict him of obstruction of justice in front of, like a grand jury filled with, Supreme Court and judge nominees, right? I don't think you would. I think that you would have a very difficult time convicting him of that because one, there wasn't an underlying crime. Two, you cannot prove intent. And three, all of the actions that he took are legal actions that are within the purview of the presidency for him to do as he pleases. And so I think you would have a hard time convicting him of obstruction of justice anyways. This is only the first case. There are many, as he's lied under oath in regards to his business deals. That may be the case. Those are totally different things. I don't think are really related to the Mueller thing, right? Anyways, I don't think that you'd be able to convict him of obstruction of justice. So when you put it in that context, is it really a very smart idea for Democrats to go out and try to impeach him? I don't think that you would be able to effectively impeach him under a grand jury. You're certainly not going to be able to do it in Congress because Republicans control the Senate. And the Republicans probably wouldn't even take it up. And he would have to be convicted by the Senate to remove him from office. Right? And I tell you what, if they actually went through with that, you have any idea how crazy things would get out on the streets, right? There would be like armed riots in the street between Democrats and Republicans if they actually started to go through with impeaching Donald Trump, because nobody in Donald Trump's base thinks that he did anything wrong. So Nancy Pelosi is being smart. As much as the Democrats want to impeach, you gotta remember, Democrats always want to impeach, right? They wanted to impeach George Bush. The far left was always talking about how he committed war crimes and we should impeach George Bush. Obviously, it never happened. Probably it's not going to happen with Donald Trump too. Now these other things, Donald Trump's business deals. So that one's a little harder. Oh, hold on, I got something in my eye here. Oh man, that hurt. Mm, I don't know what you mean by it's already crazy now, but okay. So it's Donald Trump's business dealings. So this one is a tough one. Number one, I think that the chances that Donald Trump has done something throughout his 40 plus whatever years of business dealings, that he has done something improper. We know that a lot of what he used to do was, make a deal and then renege on the deal and force you to take him to court, but then you can't afford to pay the lawyers, and so you can't collect or whatever. It's not worth it to you. He did this sort of thing all the time. I mean, he's admitted pretty much based his campaign on the fact that he was like a wolf in the henhouse per se, and that he knows where things need to be fixed for businesses because he took advantage of them himself, right? So the chances that he did something in one of his business dealings, I think, are pretty high. Pretty high that he's probably done something improper at some point. But number one, first you have to prove it. We'll see how these things go. I know that some Obama appointed judges have denied the orders to prevent prevent disclosure of financial documents and things like that, which I think uh, it's like we're saying that if you are an elected official, you no longer have a right to privacy, which I think is a very bad thing. Like, and anybody, you could have a person that would make a great president, but because he doesn't want his life to be filtered through, he's not going to run. I don't think it's a good thing. Maybe it's an unavoidable thing. We'll see. We'll see if those orders hold up or not. I think that they've already gotten some of the data that they wanted, right? So then they get the data that still might not show them what they need to show. Okay, but like I think one of the big ones was that he made loans to Deutsche Bank, and they say that he misrepresented his financial assets to Deutsche Bank. Okay, so like what is the fine, the legal penalty for that? It's not it's not very much, guys. So even if Donald Trump was guilty of everything and all that, would they impeach him over that? Probably not. You probably, in order to impeach, you really have to have the public behind you. You need to have the public overwhelmingly behind you, which means that like the only people that still support him is like a third of Republicans, and the whole rest of the country wants him removed or not anywhere close to that. The chances of Donald Trump being impeached over any of this stuff is extremely low. And quite frankly, the way that they're trying to prosecute it might just make it easier for him to. Okay. Okay. So in the U.S., we have put Mexicans in concentration camps, and children are being raped by the thousands. Okay. Well, there was that whole thing where they were catching people crossing the U.S. border, and the people, because they think that they can get into the United States through an asylum claim, which they can't, but the media has been pushing that they can, and so they're trying it anyways. And there are so many people coming over that they did not have enough room in the facilities that they've normally created for these. And so they were actually housing some people in a fenced off area underneath of a bridge in El Paso, which people are saying that that's a concentration camp. That's not really a concentration camp. So a concentration camp comes from a German word, and I think can only really be applied to the German camps by the Nazis. Okay, that's just it's not. They're not like killing people. Okay, so when you say a concentration camp, right? What do people think that you're talking about? They think that you're committing genocide out there or something. No, that's not why. It's hyperbole. Yeah, Uzi says it's leftist hyperbole. Okay, so let's not call it a concentration camp. Has the administration been mass holding mass numbers of people? Yeah, because they broke the law. What else are you gonna do? If and you got two choices. One, you can take all these people, process them through the system, and then when they aren't available, when they aren't sorry, what is the word? Um, when they aren't eligible for asylum, and then you move them out, which means that you're going to have to do this for millions of people because that's literally how many people are trying to cross the border. You can either enforce the law or you can just say, fine, I'm not going to enforce the law. There's kind of like no choice, right? Even the largest population, wow. When militias are roaming the borders, detaining people without authorities on the yeah. So there was that one. That story was weird, wasn't it? But that one was weird because that guy was obviously crazy, first of all, and he was doing some things that he wasn't. So, like, I don't think that he was even allowed to own weapons because he was like a felon or something like that, right? But whether or not you can actually, like, if you catch illegals sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. People crossing the border illegally. I don't want to use like a label word, but if you catch illegal aliens crossing the border, um, do you have the authority to do like a citizen's arrest and then um, take them to authorities? I looked into that quite a bit, and at the end of my research, I was still confused and unsure. So I don't really know. But it was only like so far that we know of one militia led by one crazy guy that it's probably not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Mm-mm-mm. I laugh every time people blame the US for the takeover of Indians in this country when in fact everyone that came over was initially British, but then we said fuck the British in 1776. There is a tons of NGOs trafficking migrants and lying to them about how easy it is to get into the US has stressed our ability to process asylum seekers. True. You see, I have not watched it yet, but there was a strong conservative uh, girl that she put a lot of effort into a documentary about that. And they actually, according to her, found some pretty alarming things about the way that these NGOs operate. And YouTube banned the video. And I wonder, did they have the case to ban it? Was there something in there that YouTube could legitimately ban them over? I have to see it, despite YouTube trying to censor it. I really need to see it, but I have to watch it on DLive or not DLive, BitChute. You have to go and watch it on BitChute. Now, Shalom also talks about that children have been sexually abused. Well, of course, if you have mass numbers of children inside of some kind of processing facility with government people or whatever, then there's going to be, in any population, there's going to be a certain amount of abuse for sure. Like, what are you gonna do? I think you're kind of under. Here's you got to back up a little bit. Asa says that he's out without a loss. I missed. Did he take a trade there? I say this market to me, Ace, is a little isn't a very good market right now. Um, I've been yapping a ton here because I didn't want to be in it. And that's one of the things that I do because, man, if I just sit there and I'm focused, oh man, I want to take a trade so bad. And so I've found that it's better for me to say, okay, until the market opens, I'm just going to talk. Until we get to the next time frame where it's a reasonable time to take a trade, I'm just going to talk. Mm, anyways, we're going. I'm going back to it. The whole thing is that they do not. Well, of course, they don't want anybody to come in and inspect the facilities. Come on, man. Like it's a government facility. Uh, I I think you're under a strange um, assumption here that normally a government facility would be well run and everything would be like really nice and running well over there. It's a government facility. Of course it's not. Uzi says that they did a whole presser on it a few weeks ago. I do know that they have gone. I have seen some people on YouTube have actually gone into immigration facilities and toured them. But, it's not like they've done like a full accountability inspection of all facilities and a report on it and things like that. Well, and you know that if they did that in any government program, you're going to find problems. Sure. But the question is what should they do in return? Or what do you want them to do? Because the only answer that I ever get to that from people, like the only alternative, I really think that there's only two things. You can enforce the law or you cannot enforce the law. Up until now, they really actually weren't enforcing the law. And now we're enforcing the law. And it turns out, yeah, enforcing the law, not always the most pretty thing. Sure. But what's the alternative? Not enforcing the law? Encourage more people to come and make the problem worse. Like you say, kids are being abused in facilities. Kids are being abused as they're pulling them over. They actually did a study where they found that something like a third to 25% of the cases where they suspected that the kid didn't actually belong to the people that were bringing them over, they weren't related. Like they did a DNA test and they weren't related, and the person was lying. So there's like human trafficking going on across the border. And we come in and we say, okay, well, we're just not going to enforce the law if they come over with a kid. You're just encouraging people to abuse children. So at some point, you have to do something, and it's not like it's going to be perfect. You remember, there's a plus and minus to everything. Yeah, there's minuses to enforcing the law. You have to put somebody in jail. Or you have to at least put them in a detention facility for as long as it takes to process them through the system and then deport them. Most of the illegals do not come from the borders. They come from work visas that expire. So it's about 55-60%, right? My recollection, I haven't looked at this in a while, but my recollection is that it's 55 to 60% come over on work visas. Now the administration is doing things on work visas too, but I would say 40% just coming across the border is still a lot. And when you consider the number of things that are going on in terms of, well, let me restart. It's true that most of the illegal immigrants in the United States are overstaying visas, but there is significant human costs, crime, drugs, human trafficking, gang violence that is happening as a result of people coming across the border. And so, even though it's not the majority of immigrants, there is still plenty of reason to be concerned about it and to be doing something about it. And yeah, I think the administration wants to get rid of all of the people that are overstaying visas, and they've done some executive orders on that as well recently. I forget what it was that he did. Um, a couple of things that he did. I know another thing that he did was he sent out anybody where they had reason to suspect that somebody was working with an invalid social security number, and they sent notices to the companies, which I think was a good thing because there is a lot of what identity theft and fraud out there from this. I know because I used to for a month or so, 2 months, I worked with Spanish speaking people in Kansas City, for a religious meeting. Good grief! You see that downtick? That's you don't want to be in that. I don't see. Okay, Italian yield jump as Salvini threatens to crash government. There's maybe that was a news-driven move, but man, you don't want to be traded when it can just move down 3 ticks against you with just for the hell of it. I'm not going to trade that. I'm going to wait probably until 7:45, maybe even the top of the hour. Maybe we can take a trade, but I might not take any trades today. Man. About 700,000 overstayed their visas most recent year, which, okay, sure. So yeah, a lot of people overstay their visas. They should take care of that too. Yeah. It's not, it's, uh, so when I'm speaking to Democrats, my concern with Democrat Party right now, I believe that the Democrat Party is becoming a joke, honestly. When you look at the candidates that they're putting up and the way that the primaries are going right now, Joe Biden is the best that you can do. Are you kidding me, guys? Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a joke when he was running against Obama. It was a joke. People were making fun of him that he even ran because, last time he ran, he had to stop because he plagiarized or something like that, right? And then he says dumb things, and he was saying dumb things at the time. And he said that whole thing about how, Obama man, I don't remember exactly what he said. And even if I did, I don't think I'd want to say it because I thought that it was an incredibly racist thing that he said. And I can't believe that the media didn't freak out over it. But anyways, Joe Biden's the best thing that you can do. And then the next best guy after that is Bernie Sanders, which, I know that a lot of people like Bernie Sanders. But when you just look at the numbers and the demographics, the chances of Bernie Sanders being able to win an election are not very high. Okay, that's the best that your party can come up with, and it concerns me because the reason that the United States system has worked so well in comparison to other countries, we have not been we have not made the mistakes that many other countries have made because of the two-party system that prevents us from doing anything incredibly stupid. I mean, we do things that are dumb, but we don't do anything. We haven't, at least recently, done anything that's like disastrously dumb. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn there, but it has been an effective form of government for us. But if one of those two parties, okay, Ace is looking at them maybe going long. I think I'm still going to sit it out because that's just a meat grinder. And we've done well because of the two-party system. But if one of those parties is a complete joke, then you don't really have a two-party system anymore, do you? I think I kind of admire now, looking back. I mean, I've always been a conservative person and I've always argued with people on the internet. Back in the forum days, back when I was like in high school. But when I look back on those days, I actually kind of admire my Democrat adversaries because they were very much had their principles. They're like, here are the constitutional rights that people have, and they are being violated. with, like surveillance and right to privacy, and um, the cops are abusing their power and things like this. And they had a very good thing, and they stuck with their guns. And then Obama came along, and it was like they threw all that out the window. We're willing to do anything that we need to do in order to get elected, which is just sad. Which is just sad. But they threw principle out the window for power. And now you have one party that's a complete joke. That's not good for the country. So when I'm talking to Democrats, one of the first things that's always going through my mind is if you have a point that's like a legitimate point, um, how are you present that to the other side in order to be effective? Okay. So you think about that. Okay. We want to stop illegal immigration. Well, what is the point that you bring up? Well, 60% of illegal immigration isn't people crossing the border. 60% is people overstaying their visas. That's not convincing, dude. That's still 40% of illegal immigration that you could potentially stop by building a wall. And then, yeah, we should do something about that other 60% too. Which, by the way, I don't think you want to know what you end up having to do to deal with that other 60%. Because you know what? They do pursue those visa overstays. I had a friend, he come over on a visa. He was an American. His wife was not. They married, and they thought that maybe they had married only to bring her over, and so they would not give her a green card, but they did give her a visa to stay for 2 weeks. And even after going through that whole process and doing everything legal, they came over. They still got found by ICE and detained for an hour and had to explain the situation because there was a screw up in paperwork or whatever, and ICE found them. Okay, that's how that thing works. And yeah, if they have to go to immigration court before they deport you and everything. But you're talking about beefing up ICE and tracking down every single visa overstay and taking that through the immigration court process, which I think that they're going to do at some point unless people self-deport. But is that what you want? So, illegal holders holding degrees are displacing the young educated people. I think that's a more complicated issue than just immigration, right? Because then you have to get into minimum wage and the changing demographics of America and the increase in workforce participation overall, and then visas. What is the type of visa where you can come over and work with, and too many of those are being granted. That's a really complicated thing, man. It looks like they did come back to 22.5. Corporations advertise for illegals to come. Yeah, there's no punishment for them. Well, I think that if Democrats had. My mouth is getting dry. If Republicans had a veto proof majority in the Senate, I think that they probably would have addressed that in a comprehensive immigration bill. But it's kind of almost pointless to say, well, there's this problem and this problem, and why aren't you doing anything about this problem? I mean, if they had made a bill, then maybe they would have done something about it. But you can't even make a bill. You can't even get anything passed. So how is it even, in the public discussion, you're going to focus on the most pressing thing, the thing that's most convincing to people, or at least the thing that's easiest to convince people, which is the wall. And there is crime and human costs associated with immigration, illegal immigration across the border. And there's something that we can do about that right now. They're trying to build a wall. So that's where you go. So it's smart political strategy for them to focus there. But I get back to the main point. I kind of take issue with when we come in and we say that trying to enforce immigration laws in the United States somehow is indicative of some sort of racist genocide that is taking place underneath. No, this is just ridiculous hyperbole. It needs to not happen. But the wall is not going to stop anything. Well, uh, the people that do immigration enforcement, that do border enforcement, and are there on the lines and are the actual experts on this sort of thing, say that you're wrong. So I believe them. They were the ones that came up with the plan. They were the ones that said we need money for this and money for this, and we want a wall here, and we need to beef up these security measures. They came up with a plan. They did. It wasn't I mean, of course they came up with the administration, and I'm sure that they try to come up with a plan that the administration would be happy with, but it was their plan. They say that it's going to help. I think that it would. And I also think that the mere enforcement of the immigration laws would solve the problem. Wouldn't solve the problem completely, but it would make a significant difference. You can see here every time that we say something that we're not going to enforce the law. Oh, if you happen to be under 18 and you were brought over by your parents, then we're not going to enforce the law on you. And what happens? Hundreds of thousands of people come over to try and take advantage of it. Oh, if you come over and you have children with you, then we're not going to enforce the law on you. And what happens? Millions of people come over and try to take advantage of it. If they came in and said, you are not going to get in, we're going to do everything that we can to try and enforce the border and enforce our immigration laws, they would not come. And that would be half of your problem solved right there. Would you stop everybody from getting over? No. That's always the thing. There's always going to be some people, right? But would you significantly curtail it? Could you decrease illegal border crossings by 80, 90%? I think you could. I think you could. In my opinion, today's a combo of soothing tweets, GDP data, and overplayed trade locations. This should lead to a risk on day. I do think that the E-mini is going to buy. They are buying. And Ace was buying too, right? It was actually a pretty decent buy on the open. Well, it's 7:36. I usually don't like to take something in the E-mini unless it's been like 15 minutes. We'll see where they are in 15 minutes. We could potentially take something in the Treasuries. They're right at the VWAP. The VWAP is not necessarily the best place to trade, but seeing that we've had a move, so we started at 22 and we've been able to move below it, there's a decent chance that we now try and push the other side of this. And I think that the overall volume has been negative, and we really rejected those highs. And those rejections are rejections of prices from yesterday, key prices from yesterday. I do think that we could get some more selling today. So I think I'm maybe looking for a short. We have this technology to stop illegal unemployment very easily, probably. You're probably right. Again, and if they were able to pass a bill, maybe they would have taken care of it, but of course they're not. And you kind of have to sit down and wonder, okay, e-verify, why is it hard to get e-verify through Congress? Who's trying to stop that? See, we could maybe, if we got filled at 22, although it's saying that you wouldn't. It's also been back and forth here a few times. This is a decent drop off in volume to get here. Italy's Salvini says government will reply to EU warning letter on debt, citing data that will avoid disciplinary procedures. KFC is meeting with plant-based meat makers. What? Okay, if KFC moves over to synthetic meat, believe both sides of the government have the same agenda. They are owned by the corporations. Yeah. Well, the majority, the issue in the country right now is that the majority of the interest, at least on the business side, is in favor of cheaper labor. It's in favor of cheaper labor. And so even though Republicans are opposed to illegal immigration, they are only as such because of their voters. And so they drag their feet. And the Democrats, they used to be against it, but apparently they don't make their policy decision based on what they think is effective policy. They make it based on what Republicans are thinking. I wonder if the E-mini is going to have a little pullback here, and we could maybe have a move up in the Treasuries or not. Having experienced what happens when you hire an illegal immigrant using a fake identity, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Oh yeah, so I had that thought, and then I think I got myself distracted on another rant. But I was going to say that I knew people, almost everybody that I spoke to when I was in a missionary speaking to Spanish-speaking people. Almost everybody that I spoke to was an illegal immigrant, and I knew a number of them that they had fake social security numbers, and so they could work at Target because they had fake social security numbers. And it's not cool, man, because you're stealing somebody's identity. It's like a real problem out there, and I kind of seems like that society kind of ignores that it's a thing. Well, it seems like the treasuries look heavy, like I might not even get a fill at 21.5. Yeah, Shalom says he agrees that it's not cool at all. Honestly, the whole thing that's going on in Congress right now is kind of is a real mess, right? It's just there are too many things that you just can't pass through Congress. And yet there are so many things that I think that Democrats and Republicans can agree on, but they don't take action on. And you have to sit back and be like, why? Well, one of the reasons is because it is both parties are very much will try and play to corporate interests. That's absolutely a thing. Absolutely a thing. But also, there's also this whole thing that it's like if we work together and we pass a bill that's actually a good bill, that's really a help and a boon to the party that is in power, and so we don't want to do that. That's super messed up, but that's the way that's the situation in the United States right now. The Department of Social Security contacts you and lets you know there's a discrepancy and why they also specifically tell you that if employees still work for you, that you could be held liable. Interesting. Yeah, and the administration sent out a lot of those notices last month, right? They're stacking a decent amount at 21.5, but it's not going, and there's a lot at 21. The E-mini is having a little bit of a pullback, but not a lot. Tape slash price action is ugly, requires a longer time frame, even worse in the bond. Holiday today and year-long Eurex close for trading in many products, and PBs and other exchanges doesn't help. Okay. I think I have an okay probability here if I get the fill. But it would have to be, like I would not let this, would not be given this very much room. You're not getting any buys into 21.5 either. There's some stacks at 20.5 as well. E-mini went up for another new high there. Special envoy for Iran, Brian Hook, says we will sanction any efforts to import Iranian crude oil beyond previously agreed cap. There will be no more oil waivers granted. And Donald Trump quoting some congressmen that the Trump campaign clearly did not conspire or collude. 21 goes offer. Not pulling at 20.5. If you wind up hiring someone using a fake social, the government will tell you that you did, but also tell you that you can't do anything about it. Oh, I get you. So if you fire that person, then you're liable for discrimination, is what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny that we got on the subject of immigration today because I don't know if that's the most interesting topic to people. Just guessing. Right now, that's not the popular. That's not the popular thing to talk about. The popular thing to talk about is that Donald Trump should be impeached. Surely, it'll happen any day now, folks. They're going to impeach him. He's a Russian asset, and they're figuring it out. And any day now, next ball's going to drop, and it's going to be the end for him. And that's what I should say. I bet you that if I did nothing but that on this stream, that tons of people would come in to watch that. Well, maybe if I was saying that like 2 months ago, then lots of people would. The people that were in on that particular thing aren't doing so well this month, are they? So CNN is laying off a ton of people, and Rachel Maddow was not good. Okay, so 20.5 was pulled a little bit. I'm disappointed that I didn't get filled, but I'm not sure if there's like a ton in this. We don't report people or anything like that. We're more focused on staying out of trouble ourselves than when we get other people in trouble. Yeah, well, I mean, but this is the thing is, like, even if you reported somebody, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to do anything about it. Unless they're actually starting to commit bank fraud with the stolen identity, right? You start taking out credit and it's actually like a real person that's still alive, then you have a problem. Wow, well, they took 20.5 easy. Well, shit. It did look like consolidation to me there at 21.5. I was a little bit too slow to come to that conclusion. I almost got filled. I don't know how much further it can go. They're pushing a little bit too hard there at 20.5. E-mini is moving up nicely. Would not be surprised to see the low of the day, though, at some point, though. Where I used to work, they implemented fingerprint ID. Mm. Well, I guess Uzi's point and Shalom's point as well is that there are things that companies can do to, help avoid hiring illegal immigrant workers, but a lot of companies just don't care. A lot of companies know that their workers are all illegal workers and they don't do anything about it because it's cheap labor. Indexes hunger for going up. They definitely look bullish. Should change my chart here. The thing is that we still got a couple of numbers above us, like 2800 in particular seems like a difficult area. It was really rangy before the bell. So far, this has been like a slow and steady mover. Um, and treasuries are kind of showing that too. Like treasuries are giving you that thing where you maybe you could sell into 20, but you're worried that the instant that you do, that's when it flips on you. You know? Keep hungry, you mini aces. I can tell that Ace is a little bit. He normally doesn't take longs. I think this is the first time I think I've seen where he's caught a really good long, and he's been in it for a long time. And I'm sure he's probably like doesn't want to hold it. Well, I mean, like, of course you want to hold it and for it to go as high as it does, but you're in it for a longer period of time. That's not fun. Man, they're still going. They're not. They're just taking it a tick at a time. You're not getting very much pushback at all. So I just can't. I can't sell it here, even though I really wish I was short. I really wish that I had got that one at 21 and a half. Oh. Okay, well, there's an iceberg at 19 half. I had to dust off the long button. Man, it's uh it's been negative lately. I've wondered though, it seems to me like your strategy is partly favors shorts anyways. Even if the markets were doing well, it would favor a short, you know? Hmm. So I'm having a hard time here because we've pushed down quite a bit. Um, and it's not really showing me any real kind of indication about where it could stop other than this iceberg here at 19 half. Yes, shorts seem to be quicker. So I'm wondering if there's something else that if I add the other months up that maybe I would be seeing that I'm missing here. Well, 73, that's a big buy. They're probably profit taking there. Somebody facilitated a lot of trade right there. Yeah, there's a saying markets drop faster. That's definitely true. Well, equity markets drop faster, for sure. Treasury markets, when they move up or down, it's kind of weird. When you buy, so what I've noticed in treasuries is that when you buy, it'll be like you'll get a quick move up and then it'll kind of range and sit here forever and go sideways and kind of pull back and form a pretty good range there that you can trade. And then maybe finally it will go up, you know? But when you're dropping, it'll drop and then it'll go completely sideways. And then it'll drop again for no reason. And it's like, well, why couldn't it drop earlier? Who knows? But they just didn't decide to sell it yet. It's kind of like what it did there at 21.5 where I didn't get filled. And here I'll be sitting waiting for a pullback and then they won't give it to me. Or it'll pull back like only 2 ticks and then they're ready to go again. Beyond Meat soars above $100 as KFC is said to plan vegan fried chicken alternative. Man, guys, I never thought I would see the day where KFC has vegan meat. Yo, go to Chick-fil-A. They have better chicken anyways. Mm, man. So they're just running down. They want me to sell it. They're saying, Seth, come and sell it with us. You know that the instant that I hit into those, like if I hit into 18.5, they would immediately tick up. Be careful after the Bitcoin futures options expiration on the CME. But weren't they already expired for the month of May, though? Or I don't think that there's actually are options for the Bitcoin futures either. But the rollover is like the third or fourth week or something. So you're already on to the June contract. Normally the trend reverses. Well, there's definitely been strange things happen when the during rollover in Bitcoin. I don't know if that's really people trading it or if that's just kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of a thing. Because even with the record volumes that they've been seeing in Bitcoin, it's still not a ton of participation. Trend reverses within a week of the expiration normally, yeah. When it first started, I remember when it first started, you could see very clearly a change in the cumulative delta in the Bitcoin futures, and like somebody was ready to dump it, and they did. And they did it right so that when it expired, it was at its low, which didn't make any sense to me. But maybe you think um, you're so big, you're not going to be able to get out. There's not enough liquidity for you to get out, so you want it to be at the low. It just expires, and you make the money that way when settlement happens. I think that that's why, but it was kind of weird when it first happened because we said like, okay, well, this is the way the market works, and these are the sorts of things that can happen, and it was just like clockwork. It happened exactly the way that it happened, almost as if somebody was listening and said, "Oh, I think I want to do that." Man, I'm so mad that I did not get filled. One, two, three, four, five. I guess it was plus five is not that super great. Pending home sales in about 3 minutes. Papua New Guinea's prime minister has resigned. That's kind of weird. A country you never hear about in the news. The chances of that order up at 21.5 getting filled now at this point are like practically zilch. This whole time I was trading in rollover week, which I was told to avoid, yet I managed to make 7 ticks the last 2 days. Good job. Yeah, I mean, rollover week can be tricky. This is the thing. Here's the thing about rollover week, Lucas, is that like if the market's not doing anything, if the market has been going sideways for a while, then rollover week is probably the most frustrating trading that you're ever going to get because it's like it'll be super range bound and then it'll move a ton for no reason and it gives you contradictory movements a lot. Like you'll see the cumulative delta moving one way and it doesn't budge and that sort of a thing. Because there's just, in order for people to trade, there just has to be a lot of facilitation of trade. And so it's going to have to go back and forth in order to allow those guys to facilitate that trade without losing a ton of money, right? But if the market has been active, if the market has been active like it has been past month, then rollover week can provide you some really good opportunities. It'll give you more difficult signals, but there's still good opportunity in it. I didn't know it was rollover. I would have avoided the entire week just based on what I was told. Traditionally, I've not made a ton of money on rollover week. Let me rephrase that. I've made some big mistakes on rollover week before. So that's where it's kind of like if you're not very good at selecting your trades, then it probably is better to not get in. I think I've been doing a good job with that, so I'm willing to take one today. But I don't know. Seems like that they really want to stop it here at 19 for a bit. Could potentially buy it at 19, but I wouldn't want to take the risk. Well, actually, take it back. Probably won't get filled on this side either. E-mini is seeing a bit of a sell now too. I'm assuming that Ace is probably already long out, right? Oh, maybe not. Let's only come back a few ticks. CME futures on contract on verge of expiry. Market to face turbulence. They may be talking about something else. Because it's not the settlement date. Well, he took some of it off. I don't know, dude. I'd have to do a more serious research on that. I don't think that there's an options expiry. There's a settlement day that is the third Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday of the month, something like that. And but there was also talk that they were gonna to cancel the futures, right? What happened to that? I don't remember what the deal was with that. I thought that May was going to be the last month. Maybe that's what they're talking about, is that it's not even going to trade after tomorrow. Set to expire. Given volumes, these derivative products have a massive price effect on the larger market will be substantial. Well, CBOE was canceled, says Shalom. Well, I know that, but CME was as well. I'm pretty sure that the CME was as well. If I wasn't focused on this, I would probably look it up. Consistency is the way to make money, not home runs. Totally. Well, the thing is if you're consistent, you're going to catch the home runs, right? That's the funny thing about it is that if you're going for the home runs, you're almost less likely to get them. Like you'll catch that one. I definitely went through that. You'll catch that one that was just so good, and you'll forever be trying to chase it. And it's like it's burned into your brain, and then every time you see that situation you want to go for it. And your brain doesn't remember that hey, that only happens like 10% of the time. And it doesn't have a positive expectancy. But it wants to chase it because the big winner feels so good. And it's just so much better to just go for the consistent, do your thing day after day, get into a good habit of trades that you know have edge, and every once in a while one of them will just end up being a huge winner. The expire date is the date that normally has the manipulators, not the settlement date. Nah, I don't. I'd have to look it up again. Sorry, man. I don't remember the specific details about settlement. The thing is that settlement is like the date that matters. That's why when they use the word expire, I'm a little bit unsure about what is meant by that. You have to look up the contract details. See settlement procedures. Final settlement is by cash on the last day of trading. Oh, okay. So maybe the settlement is tomorrow. Might have changed this. What I'm seeing here is a little bit different from what I remember last time I looked at it. They've been back and forth here a ton. They finally decide to hit into 19.5 in the E-mini. Just had a pretty decent sell there. But they didn't tick through into us. So the Treasury market still looks pretty heavy to me. Bitcoin will fall to 86.75 this week. Well, that's not very far, Swiss. You can give me a more um a more dramatic prediction than that. Come on. I want to hear 6,000, 5,000. I would like to see them fail 4,000. Sure. The whole thing retraced, they'd be below 4,000. That's a good prediction, right? 86.75 is like even in between the range of this just the past 2 days. Well, he did say 6.2K yesterday. Oh, did he? That's right. I remember he came in and said something and I was like, "Oh, I think that would maybe make sense." And I think you're right. It was I think you're right. It was like 6.2 or something. Okay. I'll take it. It could maybe stretch for 3, but you can see right there. They didn't immediately take into 3. They stopped at 20. So that move up, even though it looks on the chart, it looks kind of dramatic. There's still range bound. It may just be a pullback, and that's what I thought I saw when I took my trade there at 19. And so I know that if I take a pullback, you're going to get 2 to 4 ticks, and I took the less risky of it. Oh, he said that that's next week. Okay. Spot market to face turbulence. So let's try and find, now that I'm out of that trade, CME Bitcoin futures canceled. I thought that they canceled them. No, I just see a bunch of stuff about the CBOE. So maybe what happened was the CBOE canceled it, and then some other news outlets said that the CME was doing it, but they had it wrong. Because I very clearly remember them saying that the CME futures were going to cancel it in May. The CBOE, did they do it in March? According to this one, it says they're not going to list any Bitcoin futures for trading in March 2018. Oh, that can't be right. Why does it say 2018 when that article was posted in 2019? That didn't make any sense. We're going to ignore that source. Bitcoin futures expired today. Crypto Zombies saying something about it. We shall see. If it's a pump and somebody was trying to make money off of the futures from buying. But then why did the cumulative delta go so negative throughout all that? You wouldn't want to be taking those. Most of that must be in the new contract. How much has this happened? Okay. Volume. Okay. So if we just look at Wednesday is, yeah, sure. Okay, Wednesday, 11,000 volume in May and 1,000 volume in June. But then there is more open interest in June. Interesting. What about Tuesday? There was more open interest in May. So yesterday they rolled over. And yet the cumulative delta shows down. They're going short in June. If I change this, does it show me a different cumulative delta for? No, it doesn't show me. It shows me the same thing for May. Wait, let's reload all historical data. Just to be sure that I'm not getting like some cached thing or something. This doesn't seem right. It still says down. Something's not quite right here with it. I don't quite understand why it's doing that. I'm a little bit like, I feel confused because I'm looking at like the page, and what I remember when I was looking at the Bitcoin futures that, they got started like well over a year ago, it's been like a year and a half now, and everything that I'm looking at about how it works seems like it's different now. And I know that the CME and the CBOE ones were different, but I remember that the CME ones had a really strange settlement date and that it wasn't the end of the month. Am I crazy? Yeah, he says I can assure you that the CME is not canceled. I'd have to say that given that they have contracts listed for June and September, June, July, and September that they're not canceled. But I remember being told, I remember a story that it was. So I think that, um, by the way, we should change this. I had like a little process interrupt there. Anyways, I think that what happened was some outlet had the CVOE and the CME confused, and I, had just read it and didn't follow up on it, didn't check it well enough. You know what? That trade that I made there, getting just two, was a damn good trade. For what I was looking for and everything, that was a good trade. And I think that puts me up. No. Okay, focus. Seth, focus. I think that puts me at a new high on my um, account, but focus. So I was looking here. Okay. So here is where I go into the contract specs, and it says that the settlement method is financially settled, and the settlement procedures here for Bitcoin, daily settlement procedure, and final settlement. Okay, normal daily settlement, final settlement. Delivery is by cash settlement by reference to the final settlement price equal to the CME CF Bitcoin reference rate on the last day of trading. The last day of trading would have to be the last day of the month because that contract is still trading today, so it must be tomorrow. So you got that. So it is the settlement day that I think we're talking about. Now, they've changed the website a bit because it used to have a specific like minimum thresholds, vendor codes. Any break below 5.7 would likely take us back to 3K. Yeah. This is where I'm just getting in on this whole thing that it just is. My indicator says. Well, let's run it. And I'll do the math about what the bottom of this thing is. Okay. Still haven't gotten a new print. Velocity is 45. Okay. So this seems to indicate that if we have a bubble pop here, that we could get below 3,000. Not below 2,000 though. Well, we could get below 2,000. The thing is that it 50 tends to be like the likely spot that it's going to go back to. We've gone down further, like after the first crash, they went back further and they got down to like 38 or something like that. So it says that the settlement price is going to be 87.10. Where you at? So Swiss, where are you getting? Do you have secret information, or are you have some way of your own method of trying to guess where it's going to be, or are you just pulling things out of your butt? Probably. I think if he doesn't answer that question, we should assume that he has secret inside information. Mostly we should make that conclusion because that's the most fun thing to think. So he says CME data. Okay. They traded into 18.5, quite a bit more than you would think. So they could potentially fall through here and try at the lows of the day. This is a really interesting the way that the treasuries have moved here today. Mm, oh, thank you. Some people trying to shill in Discord. Another thing though is that if they do sell, if they do have a major trend change in Bitcoin tomorrow, that's going to be really interesting. The thing is, they were saying that Bitfinex was actually trading with the money that they did have that was backed. Can you imagine that? You go and long in the Bitcoin futures, pump it up all month, and then, you know, let it go at the end of the month, or maybe even go short in the next month. Ooh, that's so nasty to think about. It kind of almost makes me mad to think that somebody could be doing that, manipulating markets in that way. Mhm. Well, we got 10 minutes left here. Guys, we were supposed to talk about aliens today. Why did we end up talking about immigration? See, there was at least three people that didn't want to hear about immigration today. We were going to talk about aliens. These kids in school, they claim that a spaceman came and visited them and told them to take care of the planet because the atmosphere will be gone. Hmm? Look at Zek Longs on Bitfinex. There's no way they can pay that. Oh man, the whole thing is so we should check here the data mesh. Oh my. Well, that's interesting. Hold on a second. Let me show the last week. Arf, arf. So there was a big margin long went on the 26th. That was when we had to move up to 8K, right? Oh, come on. Don't be like that. There we go. Yes, it was. Somebody actually tried to short it, but then took it off. That's that right there. And now we're actually getting a slight increase in shorts. It's a very, very small amount compared to the longs, for sure. But there is somebody, at least somebody went short. Okay, so now we can change this to Zek. There actually was a decrease in longs in Zek in the last 6 hours at least. Bad home sales had little impact, so I guess it's prone to downtrend resumption, probably retest of ES and hold 2800 next milestone necessary to break lower. Yes. Anyways, I don't know. I think having only taken that one trade that was +2, when I took it, I kind of actually thought, oh, I don't know if this is a good trade. But I did it and I totally executed on my plan and everything. It's not normal for me to just go for a two ticker, but hey, if it works, it works. Hmm. Okay, so Swisso has got a picture for me here. Settlement open. Settle. 86.90. Oh yeah. Well, that was for yesterday. Yesterday it was 86.90. Different futures actually sell at different dates. Alligator says, in my opinion, better to give more time/space today. I don't know if I agree with that one. It's giving me a reversal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hmm. So when the Treasuries is traded back and forth this many times, it's usually a good buy. Um, it tends to be worse at extremes, but we're not at the low of the day. We're the low since the open. Cumulative delta has been flat through here for a while. It seems like it should be a buy, but I don't know why. For some reason, I just doesn't feel right to me. I can't justify it the way that I'm thinking it. I can't justify it. I can't explain to you guys why. But this has been a very good two tick winner. I guess the other thing is that I already took a two tick winner off of it. Um, from this price, so maybe that's part of why I think that. I don't see anything. Hmm. I don't know. Let's just watch it. Let's just watch and see if it like reverses here on us. With the buy would have been at 19. When I identified it, you would have been able to market buy it, okay? Because you do it at the center of the zipper, which is at 19. So um, the probability is that there's an 80% chance of 20 and a 60% chance of 20 half. Hmm. The volume actually kicked up there, but they sold 19. 19 didn't go offer though. Longs is 709.35 versus shorts 35.85. I don't know. Like the thing, Shalom, is that when you look at like the data mesh, for instance, The percentage of margin longs is always more than the percentage of margin shorts. Almost always. Just because, man, it really sucks when you get stopped out of the short. Okay. Uptick at 19.5. I guess another reason why I'm not going to take this is because it's too close to 8:30. And I know that when I take a trade at this time, it almost never works out for me. And very often I will get in a trade at like 8:30 and sit there and wait forever and ever and ever and never get fill and hold it till 9 o'clock and then finally give up on it. And it's just sitting there. Well, I said that maybe that was a new high for my portfolio, so let's check that. I think I have to go to like mid-April, right? Got some oil news coming out here. Come on. Why are you not? Why are you not doing the thing? It doesn't look like me. No, it needs to be right for 2. Having internet problems here? No. I've had a few skipped frames today. I wonder what the deal is with that. You guys haven't noticed anything weird with the stream though, have you? There we go. Well, 8:30 was the middle of the counter trend period, so that's what John is saying there. Okay, yes it is. Have to make sure I'm not showing you anything here that I can't show you. Yeah, I think I'm okay here. Here we go. So this doesn't include commissions. When you include commissions, it's not nearly as impressive, but we're up 385 on the live account since May. I actually did take a little bit of a bad at the beginning. How did I do that? That's interesting. I'm just thinking about it because That should have really messed me up. And then to have taken another minus tick and then the next few days been up. And then it didn't have, I don't even remember this. This right here. I don't even remember that. It's weird. But I took them. It says I took them. It's weird. I do have it set. Those weren't, yeah. Wait, let me double check. Yeah, those were all the live ones. Weird. Huh. Well, what were those? 5-1? Let's look up that day. Oh, my wife finally gonna wake up and let the dogs out? May 1st. Apply. Okay. So oh, I see. Huh. So I had a good trade in the beginning, and then I had 2 losers, and then I had a 3rd loser, and I stopped. Well, I do kind of remember that. Interesting, though. Well, when you take it all in, it's really only like $200, but still, I'm happy. I'm proud of myself. They did not take it up. Interesting. I'm going to wait to see this zipper pass or fail. This has been a really good trade for me in the past, so I'm just really, it's really weird to me. Well, there was a big buy there in the E-mini. That's interesting. There's some news there? No. Bloomberg says Apple's 12% slump this month suggests risks from the escalating trade war are already being reflected in the stock, one bull says. I would have thought that would have been a lot more if I would think that Apple would come down a lot more if they were fully pricing in the possible effects of a trade war. But maybe my opinion about how far a trade war could go. Okay, so now it's fulfilled. Discord's being a little slow today. Discord is apparently being DOS'd. I want to see how this next pullback holds before I enter. Bitcoin longs and shorts are almost even, and I'm getting the sell signal from the cycle sentiment and options expiration. Well, that's interesting that that's how your strategy works for selling, but the E-mini like overextended there. And 20.5 is pulling. There she is. Discord is all jacked up. Well, I better post my notes at least. So let's do that. Cool. DCR, Doge, DC. Zach. What else do we gotta do? Oh, we gotta change this. Change the date. Do the picture. Should we do a picture? Why not? Cool. PNG. I missed everything today over a phone call. Oh, what? No, but you were here for the debate. I don't. Oh, we did. Looks like no, still hasn't. Oh, they did clear it. They did clear 20 halves, so they did get the three. They did do it. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Cool. Discord is just messed up. Oh, I heard you from the other room, but I missed that dump in ZB though. Oh, yeah. Well, that dump was weird. I wasn't weird, but like, man, they just took it. Didn't take very much for them to do it. It was not a high participation move, is what I mean, I guess. And I actually took two from 19 to 20, and it looks like if I had taken my other signal, I could have gotten three. So I'm a little sad that I didn't trust it, but it was too close to the time, so I don't think that it was a good time for me to take the trade. I missed everything over setting up the alert columns I had from previous DOMs on the September contract, which Jigsaw had a way to simplify this. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. They don't have that. Mm. Yeah, the thing is that once you get into a new contract, some of those move and stuff, it's not. I don't know. I've never bothered moving them over. Let's check here. Oh yeah. Yes, let's go and leave a comment, shall we? YouTube. Things are being kind of iffy today. Slightly less people watching too. I think we got into that. I think we went a little bit too deep into that debate, guys. I guess, you know what? If there's something that I can say that is true, that's going to cause somebody to not watch the stream, I should probably say it, right? That's my take on it. But I know that probably not everything that I said there was true. Some of that is just opinion. Okay. Mm-hmm. The more I use Jigsaw, the more improvements I noticed they could make. It's better than NinjaTrader 8 Stom, but NinjaTrader 8 Stom has a lot more customization. Mm, I mean, it kind of depends on the things that you're talking about. Like, NinjaTrader 8's DOM has more customization in terms of the way that it works. Like, the way, that you enter orders in, if you click here or you click here, that's pretty much set in stone in Jigsaw. I don't know why you would want to do it any other way, but they don't have customization on that. But when you get into this, the things that you can change and all of the Jigsaw specific features, how often it refreshes and the way that the colors and the way that it looks, the shortcuts, behavior when you close an order and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of options. But man, the NinjaTrader 8 DOM is terrible. It's a pretty bad one to compare to. The ability to plot indicator levels on the DOM would be nice. Oh, sure. Yeah. for it to say the moving average is here or something like that. Yeah, that would be interesting. My understanding is that they are working on improving the Vista chart so that you can show things like I'm just guessing here, but maybe they would add like VWAP and that sort of a thing. But the idea that they kind of hinted at was that they want to make it so that you won't have to use NinjaTrader 8 for anything. And so it's maybe someday we'll see those things, but there's a small development team, and they're primarily concerned about uh, stability, Like anything else that they would add would just be kind of like extra nice, but I don't think that it would make a huge difference to your trading. Uzi says NinjaTrader the order flow suite lets you create a Vista chart that's better than Jigsaw's. Yeah, I don't know if it has the stacking and pulling columns. I think that's the best thing about NinjaTrader 8s. Yeah, it's pretty good. I wish I had a NinjaTrader 8 license so that I could do that. I should check out what were they doing on because I did the reason that we started this stream was because they were having a contest at Futures IO if you did videos. And so I did it. And I was thinking that I was gonna win. And then and then they canceled it because not enough people entered. I was like, gosh dang it. Gosh dang it. But I would like a Ninja Trader. I'm just not willing to pay $900 for it. I don't think that it's worth that much. Jigsaw, $500 maybe. Will Bitcoin finally correct? I only see bullish news and FOMO. I don't know, man. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said that it Bitcoin tends to reverse when there is dramatic when there's what is the word, overextension in sentiment. Like when it's the time to sell, everybody is positive and all you ever see is positive news, and when it's time to buy, all you see is negative and negative news, and it's I wonder if maybe some of that news and sentiment is manipulated a little bit because it's just like too perfect, But whatever. Okay. Well, anyways, I think that's everything. I put my comment in there. Make sure you give the video a like if you haven't already. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that so that YouTube will notify you when we go live every morning. That helps you find the stream a lot more easily. Leave a comment on the video after the stream is over. Refresh the page, scroll down, leave a comment. I've left the comment on there, but I really like to know how you guys performed today. That's nice. Or what you thought about the stream. I mean, honestly, if you didn't like what we discussed today, then let us know, because otherwise I'm not going to know. And that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. Pretty happy with how we did today. We did, well, I mean, only 2 ticks, but still, hey, 2 ticks, 1 trade, that's good. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.